Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the Porsche common issue that is brainwashed a lot of people and stopped people actually buying Porsches based on this one scaremongering thing that many people have installed in their brain when they think of a Porsche. This is the first thing that comes to their head. And yes, many of you already know what I'm talking about, which is the IMS bearing. So let's get on to this video. So as many of you guys are aware, the IMS is one of the most talked about subjects everywhere regarding Porsche, especially the early Porsches, 996, 986, 987, 997. It's been one of the most controversial issues on these cars. And the reason why a lot of these cars do come up cheap or people get rid of them as soon as they hear a noise is purely because they seem to think the IMS is failing. Now, what a lot of people ain't aware of is especially a lot of these 987s, especially these 911s, are known for making all different kinds of sounds and noises, especially a lot of ticking noise. You've got to remember the engine is quite low in the rear and it's on the bottom, to the floor. So every little noise you're going to hear, either ticking, clacking, it's just the way these cars are. A lot of the time it can be caused by hydraulic lifters where they're sticking or they're bleeding out and causing a ticking noise, especially when the car's warm, but when you rev it, the ticking goes away. Some of the time it can be caused by bore score, but if you have a 987 with the 3.2, 2.7, then you don't have to worry so much about the bore score. And if you've got the 986 3.2 or the 2.5, again, you don't have to worry about bore score. And that goes the same for the 3.4s. The majority of the time, it's not even bore score, and people rip their engine down thinking it's bore score. Then they start diving into a whole wider variety of problems, thinking they're going to replace this, replace that, because of all the scare and fear mongering all over the internet. Now, when you do buy a Porsche, you end up getting used to all the noises that these cars make. As I said, you've got to remember these cars are very low to the ground. So every single noise from the engine you're going to hear. You have people worrying when they hear the injectors ticking, the high pressure injectors, especially on the later 997.2s where they use the DFI engines. They tick very, very loud because they're direct injectors. So the direct injection, so therefore they make a lot of ticking noise and people seem to believe they've got an issue. On these older 987s, the ticking on these is just very, very normal. A lot of people seem to believe it's due to chain slack, but these cars do make a lot of ticking noises and people still strip the engine down, pull it all back together to only end up with the same ticking that was already there before they stripped the engine down. It's very, very common for people to do that. Some people start removing their sump, putting in liquids, additives, trying to stop the ticking noise, and it just doesn't go away. It's just part of the car. As Porsche say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and just drive the car like it was made to be driven. If the ticking is not there when you put revs on it, and when you're revving it, and when you're driving it normally, and it's only there idle, it's nothing of concern at all. You need to worry when the ticking is following the revs. That's where it's gonna be a piston or piston slap, or it's scraping up and down in the liners itself, in the bore itself, and scraping where the piston's going up and down when you're revving it. Obviously the crankshaft is turning, which is causing the piston to go up, which means that ticking is going to be bore score or something more serious. Now this video really isn't to do with bore score or any of the issues about Porsches. This is mostly to do with the IMS. Now the reason I wanted to do this video regarding the IMS is because when you read up about it, there is so much fear mongering, it's unreal. It actually reminds me of, if many of you guys remember the scamdemic, with the so-called China virus that come around, and everyone was made to believe you're going to die if you caught it, which I caught it and I was, had the most energy I ever had in the whole week I had it. To the point I was doing this shop while I had it. It was like I was like miraculously felt better, the best I've ever felt in my life. But yet, some people seem to feel like they're going to die when they got it. Now I'm not one to believe in that crap. I'm not one to sit here and believe everything I read and start getting scared. I'm not like that. I make up my own mind. I do what I believe and what I feel is right. And I said, this is why I'm doing this video, because of everything I've seen online. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are very, very gullible and fall for the bullshit that you'll see online regarding the IMS. Now, I do have the failure rates and we are going to go through them. And then I'm going to tell you why you should not be replacing your IMS, and you should not be avoiding cars that haven't had it done purely because you seem to believe it's a common issue. I'm going to tell you why it's been made out to be a common issue just in a minute, and you're not going to actually believe the reason why that is, But obviously all my research and from diving into people, you know, that I know and trust and who's been telling me stuff and everything I've been hearing in the Porsche community, I can tell you right now, do not rush to change your IMS because it's all a scam. And I'm about to tell you the failure rates. So for the single row, it's only 8%. And for the dual row, it's only 1%. Now them numbers are very, very small. And when you look it up all around the world compared to how many Porsches were sold in them generations 996, 987, 997, that's a very, very small number of cars. That does not mean you have bought one with one. And majority of the time when they fail from an IMS bearing going out, Porsche have honored the warranty and repaired that car, which they did. And that was only when they knew they were failing. But ones now, if they've managed to make it, you're talking 20 years old, nearly, 19, 18-year-old cars, if they managed to make it that long on the original IMS and the same mileage, it's highly unlikely it's going to go out. Now, I just want to ask you guys a question, and please ask yourself this when I ask you this. If the IMS was such a high failure problem, why wouldn't companies be selling it cheaper for the Porsche community to be able to overhaul it easy? You know, when you got your engine apart, you should be able to do that very, very cheaply and easy. But instead they don't. If you look at a lot of these companies that create the IMS or make their own IMS kits, they are patenting the parts. Now, I've never seen another manufacturer in all my time, whether it be BMW, Mercedes or anything, if there's a common problem, you don't see nobody running out there patenting a part. You only patent a part when you don't want someone to copy you because you're worried that you're going to lose money. Now, when you're patenting a part, it's just the same as, like I said, like a scamdemic, where they pump all the fear mongering out there, make you believe something's going to happen and make you believe it's real to make you do something that they want you to do, which is buy that product that they've patented. Because obviously a patent is not cheap, for one. And two, they've spent a lot of money getting that patent and also, getting that product to distribution and out there on the market. Now you got to think of it like this. They're selling them IMSs for $800 to £600. That's a lot of money for an IMS. And when you think that's just a bearing, you would think with that price, they'd be doing all the labor involved as well to replace that for you. All I'm telling you guys right now is do not be fooled by what you read online. Why would a company patent a part to make sure other people don't make that product? On BMW, when there's a common problem, you can find hundreds of different companies selling that one part and you can buy it from hundreds of different people and just pull it on. If it's a common part, you're gonna want people to replace it because it's a common problem. You make more money like that. But why would you charge such a high premium for that piece and patent it, if it was such a common problem? It doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. Now, from what I've heard from friends and people that I know and reading up online, it seems like there's a war over this IMS between a lot of companies that develop their own ones, trying to sell this one, trying to sell that one, and every single one of them patent the part. Why would they patent it when it's a common problem? Because they don't want other companies to make that product where it puts them out of business because they make a lot of money out of it. Please remember, guys, a lot of these people that patent these parts, they're not loyal to the Porsche community, they're loyal to their pockets. The majority of the time they're patenting these parts so you keep spending, which keeps them in business, okay? They're not loyal to the Porsche because if they was, they wouldn't patent a part and they also wouldn't charge such a high premium for that one part either when they know they've got a loyal following. But they abuse the following, they abuse the people's loyalty to the brand. That's what they are doing by selling that product at such a high price and also patenting it so other companies can't copy it, so you can't get a better rate for that piece. Now let's be honest, my one has the larger IMS bearing, my engine's stripped apart. My one is perfectly fine, so I'm not here arguing about it because, oh my God, it's too expensive for me, because if I needed it, I would have bought it. But I don't need it, thankfully. But to you guys that actually want to replace it, don't be fooled and don't be paying these kind of prices. Like my friend just had it done on his 986, his Boxster S, and it was a 3.2. It was a manual. He took it into the garage. He bought it on 80K. It was on over 101 when he took it into the garage to have the clutch done in the IMS. The garage told him his IMS was absolutely perfectly fine, that it didn't need replacing. But they still went and replaced it because he wanted it done. And I said to him, don't do that. Don't do it, it's not gonna be bad. And it wasn't bad. They gave him the old bit, and like they said, they replaced it anyway for peace of mind. And this is what people are doing, replacing it for peace of mind based on the scaremongering that they read up online. If you want a Porsche do not be put off to go and buy one. Just go and buy one. The IMS failure rate is very, very low, and it's very unlikely to happen to yourself. You know, you've got more chance of you probably driving the car off a cliff than you have the IMS bearing, you know, going out at all. And that's being very, very honest. Majority of the IMS failure rates were probably on a track due to lack of oil change, due to low oil levels, because obviously these Porsches, they do burn a bit of oil, especially if you redline them all the time. And I can guarantee you the majority of them that they're saying are failing from IMS failure is not the IMS failing, it's something else internal that's failing, whether it be a rod bolt coming loose on the com rods, and then that's causing a total destruction of the engine. But people are blaming it on the IMS. I just really don't believe, if that was such a failure point on these cars, why companies would be patenting a part when you would be out there trying to help the Porsche community try and get their car back on the road as cheaply as possible, and also try and get it back, you know, make it super reliable. Why charge people such a high premium to do that? The only thing I can think of in reality is that they and Porsche are working together and making money from this. They really are. And like I said, don't believe all the scaremongering. I hope many of you are not one of them people that believe everything you read, because if that's the case, you'll believe whatever anyone tells you. I'm here to tell you right now, you know, before replacing your IMS, if you've got the mechanical knowledge and skills and you know how to rebuild a Porsche engine, which, you know, is very, very simple to rebuild these engines, more simple than any car you'll come across, take your engine apart and feel for playing your IMS, or take your gearbox off if it's a manual and just feel the IMS itself and see if it's got play in it. I strongly, strongly advise you not to be paying £600 to £800 for an IMS bearing that is very, very unlikely to go out. My friend just done it. Then he sold the car because he thought he wouldn't be able to sell it unless it was done. Put a whole new clutch in it, spent £2.5 grand doing all that work with a garage to then sell it on, just to be able to sell it because he thought nobody would buy it when people would have bought it without it being done. And it's just a shame that so many people out there are being tricked, conned, and then they know, they really know the Porsche community, everybody adores the Porsche community, everybody loves Porsches. You know, they know it's a very, very very tight community, and everyone is passionate and loyal to the brand, and they're abusing that on people, they're abusing it. And the same with the liners on the bore scoring. You know, instead of trying to do deals with you or trying to help you with the liners, a lot of companies will try and just charge you and rip you off for it because you got a Porsche. And it's keeping them in business. Yes, I get that, everything's business, but you don't patent parts, you know, to stop other people making it. If you was thinking about the community, you wouldn't care about if someone copied it. If someone copied it, you would say fair play to them. You know, you wouldn't have to make sure and be sure of yourself by patenting it that nobody's gonna copy it and you're gonna be the only one to sell it. Because if people should have a choice to go out and buy whatever they want, they shouldn't be stopped or, you know, basically forced to only buy it from a specific person. And that's basically what one certain company's doing, and there's other companies out there doing it as well. You know, there's not just that. You've got the header bolt tool, which is from Skormsky Racing. They patented that as well, so you got to pay over the top to get that. If your header bolts are broken, which as many of you guys know, nobody does that. Everyone just drills them out normally. Nobody buys that tool. And this is what I mean. It seems with Porsche that they are patenting a lot of different parts. And you know, and there's another company, I just have an IMS where it says patent pending. You can go and have a look yourself on Design 911. They've got quite a few IMSs where it all says patent pending in all their IMSs. It's an absolute disgrace as far as I'm concerned, absolute disgrace. If they were loyal and devoted to the brand and actually cherish the brand, love the brand like everyone else does who buys them, they wouldn't be patenting apart. I'm really sorry to say, but realistically, they'd let people have the choice to go out and make their own mind up on what one they want to be able to buy, not be forcing them to buy that one only. You know, there'll be loads on the market and you can make up your own mind. If you want to fit that one to your car, do you want a more reliable brand with a better name? You know, but people are being forced to buy that part, then having to put reviews online saying it's great, it solves the problem. But of course it's great. It's the only one you can actually buy online. You can only buy patented ones. You can't go and tell me you can go on eBay and buy this one and buy that one. I know Victor Reigns do a dual row and a single row one that you can buy for very cheap online. But the larger one or the newer design ones, you can't buy them. They're all patented parts. And that's what I mean. That's why their name's going up and up and up. All is saying how great that IMS is, how easy it was to fit, how they've got the later one because it's the only one they can buy. If there was a wide variety in the market, I can guarantee you now you wouldn't be hearing these other companies that are patenting these parts coming up everywhere online. So please go and do your own research regarding the IMS bearing. And like I say, do not be a victim to this scam. Do not be brainwashed by what people have you believe on the Porsche community. I know a lot of Porsche guys don't do most of the work themselves. I know most of you do take it to a garage. It's very, very rare that you see a lot of Porsche guys stripping their cars apart, stripping the engines apart and rebuilding them. You know, it's probably only like 10% out of the whole Porsche community that actually do that. The majority of other people will own them, take them to garages and have it done by garages. And if they do come up with an issue, end up getting rid of them. But if you're one of them people that don't do your own work, do not be put off by the IMS bearing. If the IMS has been putting you off buying a Porsche, do not let it put you off. You've got more chance of bore score happening than you have the IMS failing. Bore score was like 25% of the 997s, especially the 3.8s. It was very high on them, but you've got less chance of it happening on like a 3.6, on a manual one or something like that. But it's very, very common on a Tiptronic, on a 3.8, especially the S's. And the IMS is very, very unlikely to go, especially if it's got the larger bearing, which is from 2005 and up. You'd have to check your engine number to be sure one you have. Mine has the larger bearing, but as I say, you don't know until you actually buy the car. You can always ask the seller for the engine number so you can confirm if it's got the later, larger IMS bearing. But as I say, guys, that's my take on the IMS bearing. As I said, do not be fooled by these companies patenting parts. They are forcing you to buy their own parts, and don't be a victim of it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.